Welcome to The Dental Brief, the podcast that delivers actionable insights and expert strategies to help dental professionals like you grow, lead, and succeed. I'm your host, Patrick Shavasty, the president of Omni Premier Marketing. Every week at The Dental Brief, we bring you real conversations from expert speakers that offer expert advice and quick tips that make a real difference in practices nationwide. Whether you're a general dentist or run a multi-location practice, we've got you covered with content that's designed to help you attract more patients, to streamline your operations, reduce headaches in managing your practice, and increase your profitability. If you're ready to elevate your practice, be sure to subscribe, hit the notifications bell, and let's dive into today's episode of The Dental Brief. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Dental Brief. This is an Eric Vickery of All-Star Dental Academy show. It's going to be all things case acceptance. Eric, I'm glad you're here. Say hello to everyone.
Hey, thanks for having me again, Patrick. I appreciate it.
Yep. We were just talking a second ago, something that's always a big challenge is case acceptance. And I know that I believe it's in September, you're going to be working with the AGD to put out a little bit of content that people need to go see, an event on case acceptance. We'll come back to that in a little bit. Eric, first, I want you to, people that have been on the show, Eric's an outstanding coach. He is the leader of the coaches at All-Star Dental Academy. I think the title is a little bit more professional than that. What's the professional title there, Eric?
I think Alex gave me the title President of Coaching at All-Star Dental Academy. Yeah.
Yep. President of Coaching. So you do work one-on-one with some practices, but you're also working with the coaches at All-Star to make sure that their practices are thriving, which is fantastic. I'm going to give your background. As I know it, you actually started in a practice. You were working in your father-in-law's practice. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, back in 1998. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Things were very different then. But what isn't different, and in fact, it's probably even slipped even more, is case acceptance. Right? So case acceptance is one of those areas that you teach on, that you're an expert on, that you speak on. Let's talk about the numbers. Average practice that you guys start working with, before you start working with them, when you're digging deep to see what's going on in that practice, what do the case acceptance numbers look like?
It's a wide variety. We could get someone who's at 30% of dollars being accepted or treatment procedures being accepted, to someone who's getting 60 and they just want to grow whatever percentage. If we can get the 60, 70% people to grow 5 to 10%, that's a huge win. They're looking for that edge to get patients healthier. And for the 30%ers, we're trying to double that. Our goal is 60% of dollars or treatment plans being scheduled, and 80% of the people you talk with are scheduling something. That means only 20% of the people are not moving forward at a maximum. And some do use the skills so well, they get to 95% of the people scheduling something, which is incredible. And they just really own it. And that could be a, solo doctor doing bread and butter, comprehensive dentistry, to someone doing full mouth or all on 4, all on X, to cosmetics. It is a wide variety of who we coach, and all of them want to know, how do I communicate more effectively to get patients to understand it so well that they want to move forward? And that's the system that we take them through for the verbiage, and the whole team's got to be involved with that.
Something that I hear often when I'm talking to dentists is, I hear it one or two ways. I'm really good at selling. I'm really bad at selling. And I don't really understand. I understand what selling is in general, but I don't understand that term in dentistry. I don't understand it in healthcare, because I don't think a general surgeon has ever said, hey, when I tell somebody they have a tumor and it needs to be removed, I'm really bad at selling that to them. They don't look at it that way. Why do dentists look at it that way, and why shouldn't they?
I think the word sell has turned into a 4-letter S word in dentistry. People do not like the word sell in dentistry because they immediately associate that with pushy sales. Yet the number one most common phrase heard in a dental office is, you need a crown. And the patient doesn't understand why. And they tell the person up front, it's not bothering me, I'm going to wait. Why would I spend $2,000 not bothering me? Somebody who needs a hip replacement, they've got pain. Sure. Somebody who's having a heart attack needs a surgeon. But there's also high blood pressure, high cholesterol, A1C, pre-diabetic, early cancer. There's no feeling involved in that. And so feeling is not a great indicator for the human body having problems. So how do you get a patient to understand so that they buy? And we use the 95-5 rule. We've talked about that on your show before. But getting patients to really understand what the condition and the consequences are toothache or tooth loss based upon infection, gum disease, decay, missing teeth, lead to more missing bone loss, whatever it is. What is it going to lead to? And typically, I don't know if we're in a hurry. I don't know if we don't want to come across as pushy, but we say all the wrong things oftentimes, and patients just don't get it. And therefore, when they don't do something, they'd rather risk not making any decision at all, and they just back out. They no show. They just tell the person up front, "I'll let you know. Don't call me. I'll call you." Whatever version of that. And we
Sure.
miss
I
the
know you use the
opportunity.
phrase addiction approval.
Yeah,
That a lot of
approval
people
addiction,
suffer.
or
Yep.
inner critic, or gosh, it's been called a lot of things: fear of rejection, imposter syndrome. We deal with this. Every human being does, and that's a foundational starting point for being a good communicator. I can't come on your show and be doubting that I have the skill set to talk about something that we didn't even plan on talking about. I've got to
Right.
know that I know that I know with confidence that I'm going to be able to deliver whatever you ask me. Same for a dentist, same for a hygienist, same for an administrative person. Where is your self-belief? Where is your self-esteem? Where's your confidence? And we're not saying to be cocky and arrogant and egotistical and a narcissist. We're saying have a healthy perspective and belief about oneself. And that leads to the champion mindset trek that we talk about. And you're never going to achieve something that you yourself don't believe you possibly can. It just won't happen if you
Right.
don't believe in yourself. So that's the first thing.
And what's the second thing?
I think once you do that, then you can get right into verbal skills and systems and immediately look at what are the things I'm saying that are just really dumb in dentistry. Why are we saying things like, you have a little tiny problem here and it's going to cost you $400 to $2,000 to fix? Why is it a little problem, tiny problem? Or we say things like, you might have possibly, it's kind of like, maybe you might want to. These are things that we say that are just, or the technical jargon we use that just confuses the patient. We don't want to touch that virgin tooth. They're not listening to anything you say after that because they're thinking about something different. Or implant. They're probably not thinking about the right thing with implants. Or you say periodontalgies, they're thinking about feet. Or you say malocclusion. They don't speak Spanish and they heard the word mal. They're like, I think that's a Spanish word. Who knows? You say defective margin. They're thinking, oh, I'd love to have more margin in my life. I don't know why we say really silly things, expecting the patient to get it, and then say you need a crown to solve that, and them go, yeah, crown means problem. The average non-dental human being believes pain means I need a crown. They don't understand that pain means root canal and then a crown. They don't understand that a crown prevents the pain that then would lead to a root canal and a crown. So we have to take them through that process. And we can use imagery. We can use visuals for that. The scans of the world. We can do that. Intro photos, x-rays with some AI overlay. We can do all that. But the words have to accompany it. And you probably got to get rid of all the negative things that you're saying first, and then replace that with descriptive word pictures, analogies that you use to describe what's going on. It can be really simple, like an apple with a hole in the side of it, with a worm in there eating the inside of it, working its way towards the core of the apple. Do you want to have to core the apple and remove it like a root canal? Or do you want to get rid of the worm before then and save the apple and save the tooth? And you can do these things and replace your language, but not if you're just hoping just give me more new patients, give me 100 new patients a month and I'll get 10 of them. That's not going to work either, because you're in this treadmill now. Now you're in the hamster wheel.
Sure. Yeah. And if the patient is, I think going back to the word selling a little bit, I think some people relate the word selling with over treating. I think some people connect that, right? And they think, okay, well, if I'm not over treating, then I don't need to sell anything. But the fact of the matter is that for a lot of people, it is going to turn on pain. And I think because of approval addiction or imposter syndrome, whatever, people are literally afraid to say, here's what is most likely going to happen. This is the road that you're going to go down. It's going to cost you this much now. It could potentially cost you this much now. And I'll tell you something, like personally, Eric, my biggest fear in dentistry, having had veneers and a crown, is something is going to happen when I'm on the road. I have a speaking event. I'm in front of a crowd and I can't do anything about it. I can't hide behind shutting my camera off, right? That's my biggest fear. I think a lot of people don't talk about these other types of negative things that happen outside of just pain. Do you think that's the case? Do you think that's true?
I'm sure there's a percentage of people who have all sorts of fears about what could happen, even if I go through with it. Here's also what I think the dentist is picking up on, and then I'll keep going with what you're alluding to is, we have a conflict of interest in dentistry, because if I'm your dentist, you're going to pay me for the exam. And then once you pay me and I tell you what your problems are, I'm going to look around and say, but it's okay, pay me more money and I'll fix those problems I say I found.
Sure.
So we have this, and the mechanic has this. If you go to your mechanic now, they're sending a video of what they're seeing because people don't believe them. Well, I wasn't hearing anything in my car. My car's running fine. Just change the oil and give it back to me, when they're like, there's a big problem here. Same thing in dentistry. We have to understand, stop worrying about selling a treatment, sell the problem first. See if the patient wants to solve the problem first before you do that. don't worry so much about if they like you. They will like you because they respect you when you use the right verbiage with them. Now, back to your point is, I have fears if I move forward with this, what could happen? I have fears of consequences if I don't move forward, what could happen? There has to be a conversation about that. You have to create open, safe space for the patient like you to communicate with me about that. So if it were on veneers, I'd say, look, describe for me all the things you want. Tell me all the things you don't want. Describe for me. Tell me about all the things you think are fears for you. What would be important for you to have? And I'm forcing the dialogue and have a really important conversation, intentional conversation with you prior to you even moving forward or even hearing about veneers potentially.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. And this conversation that they're having, I think more and more we're seeing that dentists not have this conversation. Somebody else in the practice is having this conversation with them, treatment care coordinator, whatever you want to call them. Who should be having this conversation? Who should be able to have these conversations with the patient about these different types of treatment? I've seen patients walk out of a dentist's office, go up to the front desk and say, hey, the dentist said I need this. What do you think? They're asking the receptionist this question.
Yeah, everybody's got to be trained on the verbal skills, and we all got to use the same words, because if we're not using the same words, it's going to be a conflict. There's going to be internal conflict, and the patient's going to go, wait a second, that's not aligning. I didn't hear the same thing from the doctor that I heard from the hygienist that I heard from up front. You cannot have this disagreement. I had a lady answer the phone in the office who's brand new and just getting trained, hadn't even gotten my hands on her yet, and I got the recording. It was a 24-second new patient phone call, and the patient said, yeah, I see you guys do those implants, dentures that stick. I've got 20-year-old dentures that flop all around, and I've got Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm wondering, where do I go from here? And our response was, oh, I'm so sorry, we don't work with them. Yeah. Now, that insurance has nothing to do with that sort of treatment. It's just a $1,500 maximum, has nothing to do with $50,000 worth of dentistry.
Right.
But we're not trained to talk the way we would all talk. We got to get in a room. We got to hash this out. We got to learn the skills. We got to work on our verbiage. We say a lot of wrong things in our life, whether it's to our kids, to our spouses, to our friends, things that we regret, that we could do over again. We don't pull aside and go, all right, let's role play before I go talk to my wife about this thing. Maybe you mull it over in your mind a bit, but oftentimes in dentistry, we're just flying off the cuff. We're just going with it, and we need to be prepared for the scenarios. And I think that's where coaching comes into play. And if you go back to your question of who needs to be prepared to talk about this, and everybody, when I talk to office, say, look, if you could get one question down that will tell you if you're doing an effective job or not, it's this: how concerned are you with this infection? How concerned are you with this decay? How concerned are you with the way this looks? How concerned are you with fill in the blank? If you can get that question down, what that's going to tell you is, in the past, you've done an effective job communicating what the issues are, and they're in. If they tell you, yeah, I'm concerned to this level, this is the level of concern I have with that. If they go, yeah, I'm not really worried about that tooth. Great, let's talk about a crown. It wouldn't make sense. So it's your testing zone. It's your barometer to decide if you've done an effective job or not. So if you walk away from listening to this podcast and go, okay, how do I get to that question? That would be important. And I think that's why we spend a day with teams talking about case acceptance and going from phone call all the way through stopping cancellations. And this is that maybe midpoint where we're asking that question: how concerned are you with blank?
Yep. I'm leading here, 98 is when you started in the practice, right?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to master this type of language, right? At some point you learned it. Somebody taught
hours. Yeah.
How many?
The 10,000 hours concept.
10,000 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking with a team member about this the other day, and I was like, all right, so you're doing this 32 hours a week. It's going to take you 10 years.
Yeah.
How much time are you spending on this? And if you're focused, think about your clinical expertise. How long did it take for you to master being a clinician? So if you're a MAGD level 10 clinician or hygienist, you're level 10, but your verbal skills are a 5. How does the patient perceive your clinical skills? It's just going to pull you down. It doesn't matter how good your hands are if you can't communicate how good your hands are.
Right. Yeah. It was, something about that is I was talking to a team member of mine this morning, and we were actually talking about people that are trying to book patients 6-7 months out, new patient, right? And that was a conversation. And I said something like, everyone that's looking to get a dentist isn't looking to get in 7 months from now, not on their first visit. She says, oh, no, my husband, we moved to Colorado, and he's like, I need to find a dentist, and I need to find somebody who's booked out way in advance, because that way I know they're really good. And I was like, are they really good, or are they really good at marketing, right? So your clinical skills, as far as the health of a practice, and when I talk health, not just what the dentist making, what the team members are making, the amount of time off they have, the work-life balance that you have to earn, that sort of things. Where does case acceptance come into that? What differences do you see that make in a practice? Because it's not just about making more money, right? It's about literally being healthy and finding
right.
some type of zen, and case acceptance is huge, right?
Yeah. Well, the healthier the patients get, the faster the patients get healthier. The healthier the patients get, the healthier the business is. And then, you're going to be around getting to do what you love to do. It's just a circle of it. And you can't get there without good verbal skills and systems.
Yeah. Makes total sense. As far as you can be the best dentist on the planet, right? Have the best skills. But if you're not good at the rest of these things, you're really not going to be practicing nearly as much as you should, right?
Yeah. I mean, we see numbers, we get the KPIs, and we have case acceptance trackers. We have just, efficiency, effective production, collection type trackers, new patient trackers. We have it all. It comes with our coaching at All Star. And it's amazing. I can teach all the same things to different people. And some people are just off and running and just blowing it up with it. And some just struggle to figure out how to get out of their own way and shift from their old habits to new habits.
Right.
And they're like molasses. Others they just go right to it. They're just drawn to it almost naturally. Like, oh, I just need it. That was me in 1998. I hated dentistry. I thought it was horrible. 4 months into it, I went to a program that teaches this, and I was like, whoa, this is what I needed. And it was just like that moth to a flame. I was just drawn to it. And I went, okay, I just need to put this in place. How do I get it in place? And then getting the team all doing the same verbiage, that was also a challenge. So,
I like to ask you this question. I know you have a lot of experience as a coach. You're president of coaching at All Star Dental Academy. There's other coaches out there as well. There's some really good coaches out there. You know them too, right? There's some great people that are not just All-Star.
Yeah.
Even though I love the All-Star coaches. I mean, if somebody's looking for a coach, check you guys out. But what are some other things they should check out? What are some questions they should ask? What's a good way to find a coach to help you get to that next level?
I think talking to dentists who use that coach, do some research. You got to talk to people in the industry. It's so funny. We'll have team members move. They'll leave a practice. They'll get a new job in a new city, and that office hasn't done anything like this. Like, hey, you got to work with All Star. And so oftentimes we get team members really pushing for it. And that means a ton to us. Go on, the groups on Facebook and ask questions like that. Who should you work with? You get a ton of responses. There's tons of great coaches out there. You got to find the price point for you. I think our total package is under $1,300 a month for everything we offer. I mean, it's incredibly affordable. So with ROI, we call it self-funding coaching. So if we're not getting you ROI on that, then we shouldn't even be in business. That's ridiculous. So we'll usually first 35 minutes of a phone call coaching session, we paid for the full year of coaching for most practices. I just started with a client out of the AACD. They're crushing it. Their verbal skills are amazing and they want to grow more. They're hungry for more. They just want the next step. And so that practice is going to grow 5%.
Yeah. Incredible.
But the practice that's doing less than $50,000 a month, we got to double that practice. We got to get patients healthier.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Tell us about the event in September.
Oh yeah. Chicago. So All Star Dental Academy and the AGD are just teaming up on this one. We'll be at the AGD headquarters in Chicago on Friday, September 12th, one day. And hopefully if that one fills up, we'll also do Saturday, September 13th. That's not supposed to be spoken out loud. I'm optimistic. So book the Friday, September 12th, one day, case acceptance mastery level 1 with us and the AGD. And just send an email to support@allstardentalacademy.com or heather@allstardentalacademy.com, and we'll reach out to you and let you know, give you all the options.
Awesome. Eric, thanks for sharing. Thanks for helping dentists. We appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I love being on. Thanks again, Patrick.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Dental Brief. If you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a colleague who could benefit. We're here to help dental professionals like you stay ahead of the curve, one brief episode at a time. You can find more episodes and resources at thedentalbrief.com. You can also join the Growth Minded Dentist community on Facebook. Links are in the description. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and thanks for being part of the Dental Brief community.